Sergio's Cadillac contract has an interesting clause. Leclerc has been warned about Ferrari's downfall, and Lando reveals mistakes he made in the championship fight. Let's get into the latest F1 news. Max Verstappen has been the face of Red Bull's dominance in Formula One. But according to Martin Brundle, one of the most respected voices in the sport, there's a growing concern that Verstappen might not be able to carry the entire team on his shoulders forever. And by 2027, when the new regulations shake up the grid, the three-time world champion could find himself with plenty of tempting options outside of Red Bull. This raises one of the biggest questions Formula One has faced in years. Will Red Bull's golden era collapse if Verstappen decides to walk away? Let's break this down. Right now, Red Bull Racing is at the top of the sport. Their dominance since 2021 has been fueled by Adrian Newey's brilliant car design, Honda's reliable power unit, and most importantly, the sheer talent and consistency of Max Verstappen. He is not just winning races, he's making them look easy. But there's a problem. The performance gap between Verstappen and his teammate Sergio Perez has never been more obvious. For Red Bull, this isn't just a small issue, it's a flashing warning light. Formula One is a team sport, and championships are won with depth. Relying on a single driver to bring home nearly all the points may work for a while, but history shows us it's not sustainable. Think about it. When Mercedes dominated the sport from 2014 to 2020, it wasn't just Lewis Hamilton who kept them on top. Nico Rosberg and later Valtteri Bottas consistently scored podiums and wins. That balance created stability. Ferrari during the Schumacher era had Rubens Barrichello as a strong support. Even Red Bull themselves, back in the Sebastian Vettel years, had Mark Webber contributing vital points. Right now, Red Bull does not have that balance. They have Max Verstappen doing the heavy lifting and Sergio Perez struggling to keep up. And Brundle's warning is simple. If Red Bull don't fix this imbalance, Verstappen may not stick around forever. Why does 2027 matter so much? That's when Formula One's next major regulation change comes into effect. Power units, chassis, and aerodynamic rules will undergo another reset, and that usually means the competitive order gets reshuffled. Just look at what happened in 2014 when Mercedes mastered the new hybrid era, or 2022 when Red Bull adapted to the ground effect cars better than anyone else. If Verstappen sees another team with a more promising project in 2027, he could have a career-defining choice to make: stay loyal to Red Bull or jump ship to chase even greater success. And the truth is, the grid will be full of potential suitors. Imagine Ferrari with a strong technical package, Mercedes bouncing back to their old dominance, or even Aston Martin with the resources they've been pouring in. By then, Verstappen will still be in his prime, and every top team will want him. So here's the key question. What does Red Bull need to do to keep Max Verstappen happy and committed? The first step is obvious. They need to strengthen the second seat. Sergio Perez has delivered some solid results in the past, but inconsistency has plagued him. If Red Bull truly wants to secure their future, they can't afford a weak number 2 driver. Whether that means finding a new teammate who can push Verstappen harder, or somehow unlocking a new level of performance in Perez, something has to change. The second step is long-term planning. Adrian Newey is the genius behind Red Bull's cars, but even he won't be around forever. Red Bull has to build a structure that can survive beyond one designer, one engine supplier, or even one superstar driver. Because here's the psychology of it. Max Verstappen doesn't just want to win, he wants to know he can keep winning. If Red Bull gives him confidence that their project is bulletproof, he'll stay. But if cracks start to show, the temptation to explore other teams will grow stronger. And let's not underestimate Verstappen himself. He has a unique mentality. Unlike some drivers who are content just to race, Verstappen has openly said he doesn't see himself staying in Formula One forever. He's not chasing a Hamilton-style career that stretches nearly 2 decades. He's chasing excellence, dominance, and then maybe an early exit while he's still on top. That mindset makes Red Bull's situation even more urgent. Imagine the headlines if Verstappen were to leave Red Bull in 2027. It would completely reshape Formula One. The team that has looked untouchable for years could suddenly find itself exposed, and the team that signs him could instantly become title favorites. Martin Brundle's warning isn't just speculation, it's a reminder of how fragile success in Formula One really is. One driver, no matter how brilliant, cannot carry an entire team forever. Red Bull has to prepare for life beyond this golden era, whether that's with Verstappen or without him. So, where does this leave us right now? For the short term, Red Bull still looks dominant. Verstappen is in total control, and no one seems close to matching his level of performance. But the long-term picture is more complicated. Formula One changes fast, and history tells us that dynasties never last forever. If Red Bull wants to extend theirs, they need to start thinking beyond just Max Verstappen. Because if they don't, by the time 2027 arrives, the very driver who built their empire might be the one who leaves it behind. So here's the big question for you. If Verstappen were to leave Red Bull, where do you think he would go? Ferrari, Mercedes, or somewhere unexpected like Aston Martin or even Audi? Imagine dedicating your life to an iconic team like Ferrari, only to find yourself trapped with no way out, still chasing that elusive win season after season. That's where Charles Leclerc finds himself in 2025. No backup plans, no escape routes, just one driver and one giant question. Can Ferrari and Leclerc turn things around before it's too late? Charles Leclerc, the young Monegasque talent, has been with Ferrari since 2019. This team is not just his employer, it's his racing home. But as of mid-2025, he still hasn't claimed a Grand Prix victory this season. Former F1 driver and analyst Christian Danner has sounded the alarm. Leclerc is running out of choices. McLaren's seats are locked in. Red Bull is completely built around Max Verstappen, and Mercedes is committed to George Russell. In other words, there's nowhere else to go. His loyalty to Ferrari isn't just passion, it's necessity. Back in January 2024, he signed a new multi-year contract to stay several more seasons, very likely until the end of 2026. That contract binds him to Ferrari through a critical transitional era in Formula One. But contracts can feel like cages when results don't follow. Now let's step inside his world. Imagine asking yourself, year after year, is this really where my career is going? Danner suggests that Leclerc must be wrestling with that very thought. He speculates that Leclerc might be asking himself, what am I even doing here? It's going to be nothing again. It's a brutal question for a driver who was once hailed as Ferrari's future world champion. And yet, Leclerc doesn't quit. He pushes back against any whispers of unhappiness. In interviews this season, he's been crystal clear. He loves Ferrari, and he wants to bring them back to the top. I keep saying how much I love the team and want to bring Ferrari back to the top, he declared. That's not the voice of a man giving up. That's the voice of someone clinging to the dream of turning Ferrari into a winning force again. This is the emotional tug-of-war inside Charles Leclerc. On one side, the frustration of missed victories and wasted seasons. On the other, a deep, almost stubborn loyalty to the team he believes in. It's more than a contract. It's identity. It's legacy. It's the scarlet red of Ferrari running through his veins. But here's where psychology comes into play. This is a textbook example of the sunk cost fallacy. It's the trap of continuing to invest in something simply because you've already put so much into it. Leclerc has poured years into Ferrari, countless hours of development, countless races filled with heartbreak. Walking away feels impossible because all of that effort would feel wasted. But is staying really the smart move? Or is it just a psychological trap? For us as fans, that conflict is irresistible. We empathize with him, we root for him, and we feel the suspense building. Will his loyalty be rewarded, or will it stall the career of one of F1's brightest stars? Meanwhile, the performance realities are hard to ignore. Leclerc is currently sitting 5th in the championship standings, trailing by 36 points from 3rd place. He's still hunting for his first win of the 2025 season. Every race that passes without a victory raises the pressure, not just on him, but on the entire Ferrari operation. And the bigger picture looms. The 2026 season brings a complete overhaul of Formula One regulations. New engines, new designs, new opportunities. This could be Ferrari's fresh start, and Leclerc is locked in for that transition. In theory, that's the moment when everything can change. But there's a risk. If Ferrari cannot lay the foundations now, will those regulation changes really make a difference? Or will they simply move into a new era with the same old problems? That's the tightrope Charles Leclerc is walking, bound by contract, bound by loyalty, yet bound also by the weight of expectation. This is no longer just about one driver chasing victories. This is about Ferrari as a team, fighting to stay relevant in a sport that moves forward at lightning speed. The stakes are higher than ever, because if Ferrari can't deliver soon, they risk wasting not only Leclerc's prime years, but their own chance to reclaim glory. So here's the question for you. If you were Charles Leclerc, what would you do? Would you stay loyal to Ferrari, keeping faith that one day the stars will align? Or would you start looking for a way out, no matter how impossible it seems? Because loyalty is noble. But in Formula One, loyalty doesn't win championships. Speed does, strategy does, and timing does. Formula One is built on speed, precision, and teamwork. But at the heart of every team lies a dangerous balance between cooperation and rivalry. And right now, no team embodies that balance more than McLaren. On one side, you have Lando Norris, the established star who has carried McLaren through tough years and finally has a car capable of fighting at the front. On the other side, Oscar Piastri, the rookie sensation turned championship leader, who's proving he has the pace, composure, and mindset to challenge not only his teammate but the very best in the sport. But when two drivers are this competitive, the stakes get higher and the risks get sharper. And former F1 driver and commentator Martin Brundle has just issued a chilling warning. His words were simple but powerful. If you hurt the team, well, the team will hurt you. That line alone raises the question, could McLaren's biggest strength right now also be its greatest weakness? Let's break this down. Right now, Oscar Piastri leads the Drivers' Championship by just 9 points. That margin is razor thin, especially considering how competitive the field is this season. Lando Norris isn't far behind, and both drivers have been delivering consistently at the sharp end of the grid. But as history has shown us in Formula One, when teammates fight for glory, the harmony inside the garage can unravel fast. We've already seen little flashpoints. Think back to Canada, where Norris clipped Piastri's car during a heated battle, or Austria and Hungary, where Piastri came dangerously close to major incidents. These weren't disasters, but they were warning signs. And in Formula One, warning signs often become headlines. That's where Brundle's message comes in. His point is crystal clear. If Norris and Piastri let their rivalry spill over and damage McLaren's results, the team will not hesitate to clamp down. Because in F1, no driver, no matter how talented, is bigger than the team itself. This philosophy isn't new. McLaren has always preached a mantra of racing hard but racing clean. Team principal Andrea Stella has emphasized it. CEO Zak Brown has emphasized it. The drivers are encouraged to push each other, but never at the expense of the team's bigger mission, winning championships. And that mission brings us to the psychology of this rivalry. In competitive environments, especially sports, rivalry can be one of the strongest motivators. It pushes individuals to dig deeper, to perform beyond their limits. When Norris sees Piastri setting blistering lap times, it forces him to raise his own game. When Piastri sees Norris pulling off daring overtakes, it drives him to sharpen his instincts. Together, they create an upward spiral of performance. But rivalry also has a dark side. It can create tension, distrust, and tunnel vision. In psychology, this is known as zero-sum thinking. It's the belief that for me to win, you must lose. Inside a Formula One team, that mindset can be toxic. Because yes, one driver may come out on top in the championship, but if the battle gets messy and both cars take each other out, the entire team loses. And that's the nightmare scenario McLaren wants to avoid. History is filled with examples of this. Think of Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost at McLaren in the late 80s. Their rivalry lit up Formula One, but it also fractured the team to its core. Or more recently, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg at Mercedes. What started as childhood friends racing together ended with collisions, broken trust, and a team forced to constantly manage internal warfare. McLaren knows those lessons. They've lived them before, And Brundle's warning is essentially this: Norris and Piastri can't allow history to repeat itself. Now let's zoom out for a second. Why does this matter so much right now? The answer is simple. McLaren is in a golden moment. After years of struggling in the midfield, the team finally has a car capable of winning races, capable of fighting for championships. This is the kind of opportunity teams work years, sometimes decades to create. And opportunities like this don't last forever. Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, they're all pushing hard to regain the upper hand. Next year, new regulations could shift the balance again. If McLaren wants to seize this moment, they cannot afford to implode from the inside. That's why leadership is so important here. Zak Brown and Andrea Stella have to walk a fine line. On one hand, they can't restrict their drivers too much because Formula One fans love seeing teammates go wheel to wheel. It creates drama, it creates excitement, and it proves that McLaren allows pure racing. But on the other hand, they can't let things get out of control. They have to enforce respect, they have to enforce discipline, and above all, they have to protect the team's bigger picture. From a psychological perspective, this comes down to identity. Do Norris and Piastri see themselves first and foremost as individuals chasing personal glory? Or do they see themselves as McLaren drivers, united in a mission to bring the team back to the very top? That balance will determine how this story unfolds. So what can we expect as the season goes on? The pressure is only going to grow. Every race weekend means another chance for the championship lead to swing. Every qualifying session, every pit stop, every tiny mistake will carry massive consequences. And when the margins are this small, emotions will run high. For Lando Norris, this is about proving he can be more than just a fan favorite. He wants to be a world champion, and he knows this could be his best shot. For Oscar Piastri, it's about showing that his rapid rise is no fluke. Leading the championship so early in his career gives him confidence, but it also paints a massive target on his back. And for McLaren, it's about managing both egos, both ambitions, and both dreams, without letting them collide in a way that costs the team everything. That's why Brundle's warning is so powerful, because it cuts through the noise and reminds everyone of the truth in Formula One. Drivers may come and go, but the team endures. If you protect the team protects you. But if you hurt the team, then yes, the team will hurt you. So the real question isn't just who will come out on top between Norris and Piastri. The real question is whether McLaren can keep their drivers united long enough to turn this golden chance into a championship. What if I told you that the biggest difference in a world championship battle isn't about being perfect? It's about learning when not to push 100%. Lando Norris just revealed a regret that could cost him the 2025 F1 title, and it's a lesson any high performer needs to hear. Stay tuned. It's 2025, and McLaren is dominating the grid. The Drivers' Championship has boiled down to a head-to-head duel. Oscar Piastri, blazing out of the blocks, versus Lando Norris, who's been clawing his way back. The gap between them, just 9 points as the summer break begins. Norris has stormed back with wins in Austria, Britain, and Hungary, but those early slip-ups cost him dearly. Norris recently admitted he regrets how he approached the start of the season. In his own words, he was driving at 101%. That tiny extra push, trying to squeeze out more than perfect, led to costly mistakes. He's learned something powerful. Sometimes 95 or 99% is enough. Driving just under the limit reduces errors and protects consistency. It sounds counterintuitive, but pushing too hard can actually derail your entire race. So what were the mistakes that mattered most? Let's break them down. In China and Bahrain, Norris made errors in Q3 that handed Oscar Piastri the upper hand. In Saudi Arabia, things got worse. He crashed out in qualifying, starting only 10th while Piastri sat comfortably on pole. Oscar converted that into victory and championship points that still separate the two today. These moments weren't about a lack of speed. They were about control, patience, and composure. And in Formula One, every 10th of a second, every small error carries enormous weight. Here's where psychology comes in. Our brains trick us into believing maximum effort always equals maximum reward. But in high-stakes environments like Formula One, optimal effort, not maximum effort, is the real key. Norris has realized that radical restraint, not reckless pushing, could be what wins him the title. It's a mindset shift from go flat out at all costs to go fast, but stay within limits. That's maturity, not just as a driver, but as a competitor. And this change is already paying off. Since embracing a more measured style, Norris has put together a string of wins: Austria, Britain, Hungary, closing the gap to just 9 points. With McLaren's pace advantage, the 2025 crown is either his or Piastri's to lose. The difference may come down to who makes the fewest mistakes. 10 races remain, and every one of them could swing the championship. Think about it. Both drivers are in the same machinery. Both have the speed. Both have the hunger. What separates them now is mental discipline. Who can stay calm under pressure? Who can resist the temptation to overreach? For Norris, the answer might be learning that less force, more finesse is what carries him over the line. So here's the big takeaway for Lando and for anyone chasing big goals. Perfection is overrated. Consistency is lethal. Dialing back just enough, knowing when not to push beyond the limit can protect your progress more than throwing everything at the wall. In sport, in business, even in life, sometimes 99% is all you need. Will Norris use this newfound balance to dethrone Piastri, or will the aggressive reset backfire when it matters most? That's the burning question as the season roars into its final chapters. And one thing is certain, the fireworks are only just beginning. If you found this breakdown compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because we're only scratching the surface of this thrilling F1 title fight. Next week, we'll dig into McLaren's strategy playbook and how they're managing 2 championship contenders under one roof. You won't want to miss it. Remember this: less force, more finesse. That might just lead to the ultimate prize.